Okay, a little different location today. Glad to be aboard with you once again. Welcome to the sheet. We are at the Better Collective headquarters, Canada. Did I say that right, Zach?
That's what Caroli said.
Okay, we're going with Nick Caroli's description of where we're at. It's photo day today, which is why I've got a little bit, maybe too much Mac 30 on me right now. Cleaned it up a little bit here, folks, for you. For staff photo day. There's a couple of really nice father-son shots of me and Zach, which I could tell you were not a big fan of doing when I first approached you about doing them, but nonetheless.
That's all right. We'll see how it turns out.
We'll see how it turns out. You'll look great, and I'll just look like an old man. Welcome to the program. I don't know if it's just me, and I'll keep watching. Like, we're all the same way. We just all watch. I'm about as excited, and it's always been the same. I'm about as excited at preseason hockey as Nikita Zadorov was about scoring the game-winning goal against the New York Rangers. Which, by the way, I really wish would be... And it's not the first time we've seen that. Ryan Johansson used to do that. If he would score a game winner in preseason, he would just skate right off. So it's nothing new, but it's always great when you see it. Guy scores game-winning goal, and instead of the celebration, just skates right off. Open the Zamboni doors, I'm out of here. Love that celebration. Wish there was... I really wish there was a team that would do that more. Like, I've still maintained that the best celebration, you can find this on YouTube, and one of the players is still in the NHL. One of the best celebrations I ever saw. No, sorry. The best goal celebration I ever saw was London Knights. And it used to be one of those Friday night hockey games that I would do with Todd Warner and Damian Cox. We were doing London Knights and Flint Firebirds. And Cliff Pooh scored a goal. Max Jones with the assist. And there was no celebration. They both took out their right glove off and shook each other's hand like a gentleman. Which to me, in the era of everybody goes crazy on goal celebrations, that to me was the greatest goal celebration. And it stands to this day, except for one. There's one goal celebration that I've seen is better. Love Zadorov, Johansson, awesome. Love Cliff Pooh and Max Jones in junior hockey with the London Knights, awesome. But the best goal celebration I saw ever, and she did not intend it for the way that it came out, was from a 9-year-old girl at Stouffville Arena, Pad B. Have I told you this one before, Zach?
No.
It was the best goal celebration I've ever seen in my life. So it's like 9-year-old Timbits, and she scores, and it's a really nice goal. And instead of doing the celebration, she skates down to the other end of the ice and looks up at the scoreboard and doesn't move until it rings 1. And when 1 goes on the scoreboard, then she put her hands up and went back to her team. I'm like, that is the coolest celebration.
That is the best celebration
I've ever seen in my life, and I'm dying for someone else to do it. Please, anybody, if you're playing hockey, if you're a pro, if you're playing junior, you're playing college, you're playing amateur, you're playing beer league, whatever, please, let's make that the goal celebration. You score, you skate until you're underneath the scoreboard, and then when your goal goes up, then you celebrate.
Just skate to center ice and stand under the Jumbotron. Straight up.
And when it changes, then... Oh, bless that girl. She's like 9 years old. It was fantastic. All right, listen, welcome to the program. Glad to have you aboard today, as always, whether you're watching on YouTube, whether you're in the chat, listening live, watching live, or listening on your favorite podcast platform. We appreciate your attention. And as always, we like to remind you at this point of the program, and before we bring on our first guest, Daily Outline is powered by FanDuel. Make every moment more with North America's #1 sportsbook. And standing by is the great Shayna Goldman from the Too Many Men podcast and The Athletic. One of the things we're going to get into with Shayna is things we dread that are coming up this season that we all know we're going to have to talk about. We'll get into that and season preview stuff, team preview stuff with Shayna Goldman. Maxim Lapierre. Well, I want to talk to Max about a couple of different things. One, the Montreal Canadiens, and he is, of course, co-host of Poche Bleue, a podcast that covers the Montreal Canadiens. I want to talk about the Habs and all the hot button, Demidov, Suzuki, Hudson, Dobson, all that fun stuff, Jacob Fowler, rather. Sorry, it's preseason for all of us, Jacob Fowler. But also, I can recall when he played junior hockey for the Rocket, and whenever they played Rimouski, no joke, Max Lapierre would drive Sidney Crosby crazy. He like lived in Sidney Crosby's hip pocket. So for those of you who are junior hockey aficionados or just want to hear Max Lapierre tell stories about making Sidney Crosby's life as a teenager miserable, stay tuned because Max will be aboard just after the bottom of the hour. In the meantime, she's one of our favorites, the lovable weirdo, as I love to call her, and she's smarter than everybody, so pay attention. She's Shayna Goldman from the Too Many Men podcast and The Athletic, and she joins me now. Shayna, how are you today?
I'm great. What an intro. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go now. I'm pumped.
You're pumped? You ready? You're ready to bring the flavor, bring the dill, bring the weird?
Always.
All right. Well, here we go then. I want to start the conversation off with
an idea. You have a pickle on your laptop? Is that a sticker that's a pickle?
I'm glad you noticed that. I've got a few
very
things. So
I like that.
All the stickers on the laptop, by the way, were put here by my daughter. So I got like a blue donut. I've got actually 2 pickles and a salt shaker.
Beautiful.
She just decides whatever's going to go on my laptop. So she's in charge of creative control here, Shayna. So everything you see on the laptop is all courtesy of Joe. You brought up a great one earlier today with our producer Zach. Things that you dread we're going to. I'm horribly phrasing this. Things that you know we're going to have to talk about at some point this season, but you dread it. For me. Oh, God, it's going to be so annoying. Olympic snubs is going to be my, oh, God, do I have to talk about this?
I mean, I kind of like the Olympic discourse. It's like the one thing I actually, all-star teams, like, I don't give a shit. I don't want to talk about it. Preseason lineups or even like week 2 NHL lineups. But Olympic snubs, like that has something to it. That's interesting, especially building off of 4 nations. But it's going to get, I think because we all have that that long layoff of the Olympics, it's probably going to be like beating a dead horse.
It completely will be. I just love the way that like it's always an issue when it's your bull that gets gored. Like every home team's fan base is going to feign the biggest outrage because their guy's not there. That's probably what I'm looking at and saying this is really annoying. Like this is really annoying. Like I'll disagree with like lineup changes within the games. Like go back to 4 Nations. I know that so much of the popularity around 4 Nations was really sort of galvanized by the Kachucks on that Saturday night in Montreal with the 3 fights in 9 seconds, and both Brady and Matt Tkachuk fought. But in a game against Canada where you need goals and Kyle Connor's sitting there and Matt Tkachuk is still injured and can't get off the bench, like that to me is interesting. But I don't know that I can do the snub talk. I really don't know. You can? Like that still interests you?
Well, okay, I like it from a different context. I don't care if this second liner from the Detroit Red Wings didn't make it and everybody's overlooking this. I don't give a shit about that. But what I do care about is the players who get fueled by the snubs. Like Jason Robertson had a very slow start to last season. He doesn't make Team USA, and he goes on a tear. Like, yes, let that spite fuel you. Nothing gets you going like proving someone wrong or proving an entire entity wrong. That's what I look for. So for me, like the snub talk is only going to be interesting if we see what comes of it, right? Say Cole Caufield doesn't make the team. I want to see him score 40 goals and the entire time just be like, point up to the American flag when you do it. Or like, make the little subtle jabs and whatever. But just crush it and just show like, hey, you thought I wasn't good enough for this. Watch me cook.
I can understand that. I looked at the Jason Robertson thing in a very specific way, which was he was bound to pop anyhow. He just had a really slow start for Dallas. Like it's kind of fun out of it. Come on. To me, it's like we've constructed this story about like all of a sudden he was galvanized and shot out of a volcano after the USA snub. Like Jason Robertson's going to get his goals. Jason Robertson's going to get his cookies. He's one of the best goal scorers in the NHL. Full stop. Period. So I don't know. That one just seemed a little, that kind of story seemed a little too convenient for me. Like, okay, Olympic snub, he goes on a heater, it must be the snub. I don't know.
Boring, takes away the fun. Come on. I think everyone needs to do it. Like, just, you just get it, you get it back, you feel good for yourself, and it's just like a nice thing to do. And hey, you're not going to make that mistake again, but that's fine.
Okay, so you mentioned Jason Robertson. The big story of the day is Jamie Benn and the collapsed lung. Even though his lung didn't collapse until technically after the playoffs, I still go back to Patrice Bergeron in that playoff year where he played with broken ribs and a punctured lung. I believe this came after the Randy Jones hit. I'm just always sort of stunned at how much pain players tolerate, but nonetheless, no Jamie Benn for the next 4 weeks for the Dallas Stars. Where is Shayna Goldman on the team in green, the Dallas Stars, who once again we look at and say a couple of things. One, no one thinks that Jim Nill is done with this team because he's never done with this team, and two, once again they're going to be like legit contenders for the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I'm not like worried per se about them, and it's not like even a knock to Jamie Benn. It's just that this is one of the deepest forward groups in the league, and this is going to give someone a chance to play more top 9 minutes than maybe we would have expected in the first place. And now you can see what they can do and just, learn your options. I think sometimes we know combinations that work and that click, and all of that's great and wonderful to know, but also you need to know things, backup plans. You need to have different ideas. If this gets stale, what do you do, right? And I think you go back to last postseason, Jamie Benn wasn't scoring a bunch. The Stars were worse than his minutes. You needed to know a backup plan for who could have played up if you were to shift him down into a more fitting role for that moment. So maybe this is a chance for someone like Maverick Bourque to get better top 9 minutes, right? And better opportunity. And maybe you'll see him click with a player you wouldn't have seen before. So now you know that. Now you know what Jamie Benn brings to the lineup. There's no question about it, right? Every single person in Dallas should know what he can and can't do. So now once the rest of the lineup is taking shape, you can find the right place for him when he is ready for it.
I'm glad you mentioned Maverick Bourque, and I do want to get your things that are about to annoy you segment in here because I kind of monopolized that with my discussion about the Olympics. Maverick Bourque is fascinating to me because I think here's a player that, A, knows how good he is. And, last year was the real test for Maverick Bourque, and the guy's legit. He has nothing left to prove at the American Hockey League level, obviously. Whenever I see someone changing agents, I always say the same thing. This player wants something big to happen. And he's now with Olivier Fortier of Wasserman. Wasserman is one of the heavyweights, as we all know, representing players like, Connor McDavid and Austin Matthews and Roman Josi and go all the way down the list. So he's now with Olivier Fortier. I get the feeling that Maverick Bourque understands, I'm going into a top 6 role. I'm probably going to play with Wyatt Johnston. I'm going to put up some huge numbers here, and I'm going to get paid. I've got massive expectations for Maverick Bourque. I know you might say, hold on, pump the brakes. He's only been in the league for 5 minutes, but do you have a thought on Maverick Bourque and what he can mean here? And because his own expectation is he's going to have a big season.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if someone like Logan Stankoven didn't do as well as he did when he first came to the NHL, maybe Bourque would have gotten that opportunity then. It didn't happen. So this is his chance to shine. I definitely like him as a player to watch on the rise. I don't know if I'm going to say breakout candidate yet. Maybe that's in a year, but I think we're going to get to know who he is and what he can do. And I also like that you have a more offensive coach coming into Dallas now in Gulutzan. I think that's going to be a good thing for him too. I think that DeBoer did suppress the even strength offense a bit last year, so I think this can open things up. And if he doesn't shake it, say, on that second line, there could be a very, very good place for him on that third line where he's a very good contributor, because this is a team that can roll three very good lines, and then you throw your fourth line out for a couple minutes a game and it's fine. So the opportunity is there for him to show where he fits, who he clicks with, how he can rise to the occasion. I think that there's so many different chances to do it. And we saw last year, there were injuries. You need to know that he'd be the guy now that you can tap on the shoulder and say, you're going to play an extra 2 minutes a game on average. Get ready for a bigger role and opportunity. So I think this is huge for him.
I think it's massive. And even if it's third line responsibility, he just may find themselves how many players say, I'm on the third line, but I have the luxury of playing with Matt Duchene. That could be a reality for the Dallas Stars. We always talk about how if you're going to win the Stanley Cup, a lot of times you're going to do it with your third line. Don't look now, but Dallas can ice a really, really good third line here, especially if Jamie Benn gets healthy.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes it gets taken as an insult. This player's a really good third liner. No. A third line is important these days. We've seen
Florida.
Every Stanley Cup winner.
Ask Florida.
Ask Florida. Ask Tampa Bay when they won too. We're still talking about that grind line, right? You need 3 deep lines. Vegas, they had Riley Smith and Will Karlsson as their third line. They were excellent together. So, yes, it's very important, and especially when you look at the way this roster is constructed. That fourth line, you don't want playing that much a game.
Okay, so what's the thing that you know we're going to talk about this year that you dread? That you just know, like, ugh, I'm going to get so annoyed talking about this.
I'm already annoyed talking about it. It's the Hughes brothers in Quinn.
I can't stop talking about it. What do you mean? Like, I can't stop talking about the Hugheses. I feel like every show has been about the Hugheses.
The Quinn wants to go to New Jersey. First of all, we have an excellent free agent class in 2026. I want to talk more about Kaprizov. I want to talk more about McDavid. I want to talk about every single one of those guys until until they're signed, right? Then we can get another year. Like, everyone takes the quotes and runs with it. Oh, of course, Jack wants to play with Hughes. Why the hell wouldn't he, right? Like, who doesn't? I mean, I don't know who doesn't want to play with their siblings. If I was a hockey player, I'd be like, absolutely fuck not. But, like, in their situation, like, they're three elite players. They want to play together. There's nothing wrong with Jack saying it, and it doesn't mean Quinn's telling him at family dinner, I want to come to New Jersey, bestie. Maybe he is, but, like, I feel like Quinn Hughes is getting all of these extra questions because of it when he's saying the right thing, and that's not the quote that's going viral. It's everything else. And it being the Canucks and the chaos of the Canucks and everything else, it adds so much more to this. Can we talk about it in a year? Can we wait? There's going to be so much time. No. Let's focus on Crosby and Kaprizov first.
No. Listen, I was making the point yesterday with James Nichols that, you know, if I told you, Shayna, 5 years ago that we're going to be talking about all three Hughes brothers in the NHL, and the only player that is not of all three, and the only player that's not surrounded by drama, like top shelf drama, is Jack, you would have laughed at me. You'd have been like, no, dude, that guy is the drama magnet. That's all we're talking about. But the two drama magnets are the two defenders, not the center. I find it fascinating that the one guy who's just skating here drama free is Jack Hughes. No drama, nothing.
Yeah, it's taking all the attention away from, like, anything with his shoulder. Oh, can he thrive in this environment? That's not, like, we're not talking about it. If Quinn was playing anywhere, if Quinn's playing in San Jose, we're not talking about it like this. Because it's Vancouver, it's going to light a match that literally is going, it's this huge domino effect. And I get that, right? He's an elite player. Elite players don't often change teams. And when they do, it's a massive deal. Look at how much we talked about Rantanen last year. I totally understand that. But I just feel like, let this man deal with the drama he has in Vancouver. He doesn't need to be the drama. The drama's around him. And I feel like he navigates it so well. And now all of a sudden it's like falling on his shoulders. He's like, I didn't do anything. It's not my fault my contract's coming up. Like, let me be. And in a year we'll talk. I
thought that you would have loved this. I thought that you would be all over the Hughes drama here.
I liked it. I liked it for a time. I'm over it. I have other things I want to focus on in Vancouver.
Okay.
I don't want Quinn dragged into it. This is my issue now. I don't want Quinn dragged into the drama. It exists around him. Like, let that locker room be the issue, and who knows what's going to come up this year and how management and ownership is totally going to screw it up and make it worse. Like, leave him out of it until he has to be a part of it.
Well, he kind of is the captain. The captain's kind of going to get a lot of microphones and camera time here. Like, that's the other complicating factor here. It's like, you have a captain in Vancouver, and the big conversation is he going to peace out? That's massive.
Well, he should wait a year. He should, like, this is the thing, too. If I'm in his shoes, and I'm looking at the Canucks situation and knowing your contract's up in 2 years, I want to see what happens this year before I say a damn word, because it's like, if this team can get back on track and you go, all right, 1, 2, 3 franchise cornerstones, we're ready to rip, the team is good around us, like, it's tough for him, because what's he going to say? Like, they completely mismanaged my team into the ground. I'd love to hear him say it, but, like, I think he needs to let this season play out first. So it's like, I feel like we have to give him the benefit for now.
You get that, but the thing is, Shayna, you get that when the player leaves and they do, like, the first long form sit down, and then all of a sudden, like, I don't think it was missed on anybody that one of the first things out of Rick Tocchet's mouth when he joined the Philadelphia Flyers was to compliment the practice facility and talk about how great the practice facility was in Philadelphia. And anybody who, you know, knows the situation in Vancouver is just like, oh, Tocchet, just turn the knife in the Vancouver Canucks. That's what you get.
Compare that to McDavid, though, right? Like, McDavid at the beginning of the summer is like, I need to see where this team is going and what their direction is. I would love to hear that from Quinn, but not this far out. Like, I feel like it's a little soon. Or maybe that's how he should field the questions. Maybe that is what he should be saying right now. I need to see where this team is going before I have any conversations about my contract. Let's focus on this season. I'd be like, yes, just plant the seed. Don't mention New Jersey. Everyone stop asking about New Jersey. Just focus on, do you want to be in Vancouver? And that's the better question.
Okay, I'm glad you got us to McDavid. So the thing that I'm working on in my own little pea brain here lately is not so much that we think that when Connor says things like, we want a team here that's going to be competitive for a long time, we've made the knee-jerk assumption that what he's talking about is a goaltender. That what Connor McDavid is trying to tell us when we all put on our Connor McDavid decoder rings, that what he's trying to say is, yeah, Stan, go get me a goaltender. I'm more come around to the idea that what Connor McDavid is actually saying here is get me a winger. Get me an elite player to play with. Now, I know that there's always going to be, it's going to be Leon and Connor, and that song remains the same. Sometimes the coach will use it as in case of emergency, break glass moments. Other times it'll be regular. The guys like playing with each other. They're probably more effective separated. I think the team is. But I wonder just how much this is Connor saying, go get me a winger. I was talking to Wish about this the other day on the program and wondering if, the one piece here, and we use it sort of under the umbrella of luxury items, the one luxury item you have as the Edmonton Oilers is you have a lot of centers, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins can get you a lot. Can Ryan Nugent-Hopkins be used to get Connor McDavid essentially his Yari Curry to Wayne Gretzky?
Not after last year. I think every general manager is going to want to see what that middle ground is between 2 years ago and all of that power play scoring and last year's scoring rate going down. And I know it was better in the playoffs, but I think you need to see it in the regular season. And I don't think his results are going to be as drastically bad as they were last year. I don't think for Hyman either. I think it was a lot of bad luck. But if I'm McDavid, and you could even say maybe Nugent-Hopkins should be on the third line. Maybe someone else there is expendable, and then you just get deeper that way, right? And have your three centers, 1, 2, 3 down the middle. That's pretty damn good. And roll with Zach Hyman and get someone else there. If I'm McDavid, though, and you're trying to read between the lines, I would have my biggest question mark wouldn't even just be the winger and the goaltender. It would be, is this general manager to do it? Because even if you take away everything that happened off the ice in Chicago, right, and just strictly focus on the team building, he did a piss poor job of it. He was handed a very good team, and I think he made so many mistakes with the contract extensions he made. He got distracted by the fact of, these are third liners that won with us, now pay up when you shouldn't have done that. You pay your core and you figure out the rest. And we see contenders having a better strategy for that now. I think the Panthers and Lightning are two of them. Even Vegas to an extent, and Colorado. You can interchange the rest of the pieces instead of just blocking yourself and just creating a cap mess. I don't think he's the most creative and innovative GM. So I would have my doubts if I'm McDavid seeing him take over and go, okay, where is this going to go from here? Can he be the guy to find these pieces? So now you're saying you want the winger. It's bigger than just, can you find a winger? Are you the right person to do it?
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you mentioned Colorado a second ago. Let me pivot there. I want to bounce around a couple of things in the few minutes I have left with you here. I remember I think we all did, but when Colorado won that Stanley Cup, I was one of the people that, and I'm curious if you were the same, that looked at this team and said, this is the first of many Stanley Cups that the Colorado Avalanche are going to win. The next season, they're out in the first rounds at the hands of the Seattle Kraken, and they haven't been back since. Do you think there's enough there with the Colorado Avalanche to say this team can still win the Stanley Cup? Or is that ship sailed?
Yeah. No, I think when you have players like Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, anything is possible. I think the return of Landeskog having him for a full season is huge. I think there was so much roster turnover last year that maybe, and I liked it in the moment, right? I was so impressed how they turned over their goaltending situation for the better.
Yep.
A month into the season. That's ridiculous. And you look at the work they did down the middle. They addressed every area of weakness. Maybe it was too much in the end. Maybe they didn't have the rhythm. And then you see the issues with the power play, which were a year-long thing, and those never got remedied. You saw what bit them. So I think it's still possible. But I'm going to be very curious to see how they navigate this situation because obviously, in hindsight, they look way worse with the Rantanen stuff of he didn't sign 14, 15 million. He only signed for 12. You should have been able to do that. So What are you going to do to make this team back to their heights? Because when they're going, oh my God, are they dangerous, right? And they went to 7 games last year. They were the better team through a lot of that series. If they, made it past Dallas, what would they have done? I'm very curious. I would have said for sure they're going to go to the conference final, and then you see what happens versus Edmonton. So I still have a lot of faith in this group, maybe wrongly so, but I just think that there's too many high-end pieces there to say their window's done.
I've told you this before. Anyone who's ever listened to me while he's been playing in the NHL, Gabe Landeskog is my favorite player in the league. So I'm the wrong person to ask because I'm like too fanboy about Gabe Landeskog. But like, what's that?
Rightfully so.
Oh, he's fantastic. What would be a good season for you for Gabriel Landeskog? Like, I don't know how to temper expectations for Landeskog. Like, give me your thoughts on what a good season is for Landeskog.
Play 70 games, look sharp in them, and be fresh for the playoffs, I think is huge right there.
Yeah.
I think getting to that 60, 70 point mark would be pretty big. And I think it's going to be dependent on whether or not he plays power play 1. And, when the playoffs started last year, he didn't. Rightfully so, right? Like, he didn't have all year. You can serve him the right way. At the end of their first round, he was getting those reps. I think he belongs there. And I think if he's playing that role consistently, he's going to, score a lot more. I wonder if the key to this is like keeping him separate from McKinnon, and then that's your in case of emergency, and that's going to weigh on his point totals too, right? If he's with McKinnon, he could definitely score at a point per game pace. I would assume. I think anyone that's average could score a ton with McKinnon. Now you have someone with his ability, skill set, drive, everything in between, right? Like, he's going to be able to do more. So it does depend where he slots, but like if he could be a true second line caliber winger, and I think that's possible, and play the majority of the season and be ready for the postseason after that, that's a great year.
Do you want to wade quickly into what happens with Martin Nečas?
That's an interesting one because I would imagine he's in a very good position there versus the Canes, but like I think it goes both ways. If he needs to see more to see if that's where he would want to extend, I think the Avs need to see more from him too. And it's, what can you do across the full season? Because even with the Canes last year, you look at, him scoring a ton, but then the underlying numbers started to fade, which has been the trend throughout his career, right? Like the scoring, all of a sudden it pops, the underlying numbers are concerning, and then the scoring starts ticking down with it, which is generally what happens, right? The underlying numbers are saying there's substance behind the scoring. So I'm curious what happens there. And like, can he step up under pressure is going to be a big question. His playoff pedigree isn't amazing. And I don't fully buy into like, oh, he's just someone that's going to wilt every single year in the playoffs. But like, you might want to see how he looks in those big games in the regular season against Dallas, against Edmonton, against those like big teams, and try to take what you can from that. So I'll wade into that with there. But ready, now I'm going to throw into you. What is your obscure fact of the day? You have to just spit one out. I told you
obscure fact of the day? Yep. Well, first of all, I'm going to miss Logan Couture in the NHL, and here's my obscure fact of the day. This has always been my go-to. You need to demonstrate how much of a hockey geek you are. When Logan Couture was born, I believe it was in Lucan, Ontario, just outside of London, home of the Black Donnellys. The delivering nurse was Bernadette Dvorsky, the mother of the Dvorsky referee family. So he was delivered by a nurse whose kids worked the lines in the NHL, the great Bernadette Dvorsky.
How about that? Fact.
Do I get like my hockey geek cred for that one? Spitting out obscure hockey nonsense.
Since I know this one from you already, I will give it to you because it's only preseason. But throughout the season, you got to be ready with different ones, and there's no repeating. And if you can't come up with one quick enough, I fear you're going to have to do two straight. Like, I think we're going to have to make this a challenge.
So every time we're on together, I got to deliver like the most obscure hockey fact. Like how about this one? The United States has only won Olympic gold. Here's an Olympic year one. The United States has only won gold in the Olympics twice. Once in 1980, the Miracle on Ice, as we all know. By the way, how come when your country wins a hockey game, they call it a miracle? Anyway, more on that later. And then 1960 as well. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Who was the last?
You got to say specifically the men. Let's go clear though. The U.S. men. Let's separate
That's a good point. That's a very, very good point. So the men have won Olympic gold twice. Once in 60, once in 80. Who was the last cut on the 1960 team?
Oh my God, like I'm going to know that.
It was the guy that coached the 1980 team, Herb Brooks. There you go. There's another obscure hockey fact, getting you all excited for the Olympics this year.
Yeah, so ready to watch USA wilt in the gold medal game again, not score enough goals, but at least they have character and heart, and they have important phone calls before the game. No distractions there.
You don't think that's actually going to happen? Because I think that makes me a bad Canadian, but I think the U.S. is going to win gold in this thing.
That's nice.
I really do. I really do.
That's nice. I love that for you, but no.
You're not feeling it, eh?
Let me see the roster first. Let me see the roster first, because I do think like they took a very big step with their last roster. It's like, okay, here's all the skill and the goal scoring and all of this versus like the tough guys, like a lineup that's David Backes, Callahan, Parise, and just a billion of those guys. Like, big difference from the last time we saw Team USA. So credit where credit is due. Having said that, still saying no.
Okay, hold on a second here. One thing before I let you go here. Max Lapierre is going to be joining me here from La Poche Bleue, former NHLer. I got in about 90 minutes from now, if you're watching or listening live, the interview that I did with Robert Thomas as part of the On the Road series in Muskoka up in Canadian cottage country. You and I have talked so much about Robert Thomas over the years, premier playmaker, all of that. I got a note from Johnny Lazarus when he saw the preview saying, great veneers. He does have some of the best teeth in the NHL, no doubt about it. He's just puts all the rest of us to shame with those chiclets. Man, he looks good. How do you think St. Louis does this year? I mean, last year was kind of a, wow, look at that. Look what St. Louis has done, even though they, ultimately flamed out after giving the Winnipeg Jets a good scare here. What was that? And was that fool's gold? And can the St. Louis Blues really make it to the playoffs again? And are they now, like, when you look at how they've turned the roster over, a consistent playoff team for you?
I think that they're going to be in the wild card conversation again. So we just did their preview, and the model has them outside of the playoffs. And you can blame Dom for that because the model hates the Blues. We know that. But, it takes the full season into account. And I think that where they actually belong is somewhere in between that like incredible win streak and where they started. I think that they're a good team, but I think that you saw enough progress from guys like Holloway, who was fantastic for them, and Broberg when they needed someone to step up when Parayko was out. He was playing really tough minutes, and I thought he was excellent in them. And also Parayko looked like a true top pair defenseman again. So I think you saw enough turnarounds from those guys. Plus you have Robert Thomas, who is just consistently excellent. I think people forget how good of an all-around threat he is now. He's not just a playmaker. He's not just an offensive threat, but he is so good in every which way that it puts together a lot of it's so much progress from last year. I'm much higher on them than I was a year ago, but I still would say wild card. But that's not a bad thing, right? Like, this team, you want to see the long game from, and I think that's what they're building towards. So I'm very curious how it's going to go this year.
Let me throw another team at you. Wish and I were talking about this the other day, and I was kind of making the point that this to me looks like a team that was constructed with like way too many chefs in the kitchen, and that's Seattle. Like, if there's a team in the NHL that I look at and say, wow, there's way too many people making decisions, because that's what the roster looks like a roster that's been composed of too many people making decisions, it's the Kraken. I don't know if the model is out or what you think of Seattle this year.
Yeah, they were bottom 5 for us. They ran on the first day. I have issues with this roster, but I'm very intrigued by Lane Lambert, because to me, he has proven from his time in Nashville, from his time on Long Island, and then again in Toronto, after he has that pretty shitty stint as a head coach, like, let's call it what it is. In between that, he was an elite assistant coach. Like, this guy knows how to build a penalty kill. Yeah. I think he knows how to work with a forward group. He knows how to work with a defensive group. Now, how are you as the voice? And I think with so many coaches, we see them fail in their first go. And then you see how much they learn in between. And I think having a gap in between is a big part of it, because you have to take a step back and get some perspective. And now you're doing it. You're going to be an assistant without Barry Trotz to lead you. So I think that things went off the rails on Long Island. I think the roster was bad, but I also think he did a poor job trying to break away from the Trotz era and lose what made them special, and it all was discombobulated. So how has he learned in his second go? You saw Scott Arniel do it. We've seen Mike Sullivan do it. So is he the next guy that's going to take that step back and now know how to lead better? I'm very, very, very curious about that.
Fascinating. Okay, let's do this again soon. Every time we talk, there always has to be, you always want to throw obscure facts at me. Any pickle updates? Any pickle flavored foods you've enjoyed lately?
Everything is pumpkin spice now. Like, we're in our fall era, so like no, it can be good. It can be good. Okay, like the Oreos now are like apple flavored. That's good. You know, a lot of the fall flavors are definitely a nice profile. I feel like dill is more of a summer thing. So I'm excited for all of these weirdos behind all of these corporations to like get back to like the drawing room and figure out how they can like, you know, one up themselves from this past summer. Like I have high hopes.
Never mind pineapple on pizza, dill pickles on pizza. You in?
Why not? I'm in.
100%.
That, and I'll
good.
add black olives on pizza. That's one that I feel like a lot of people are iffy on.
That's where I draw the line. That's the only thing I cannot eat in this world. Olives, forget it. Black, green, doesn't matter. They don't belong on the face of this earth. Goodbye to olives. Welcome aboard, Pickle. All right, you be good. Let's talk soon.
Okay, thanks for having me.
The great Shayna Goldman joining us here from the Too Many Men podcast, and also an outstanding writer at The Athletic. One of the topics we stayed away from with Shayna, because our next guest is going to go deep into the deep end of the pool. We're not swimming in the shallow end where Maverick does. We're going to go into the deep end of the pool about the Montreal Canadiens, one of the most interesting teams in the NHL. Max Lapierre is a former NHLer, now with Poche Bleue Podcast, which is outstanding. He joins us now for a couple of thoughts on the Montreal Canadiens, and then I want to ask him about his time as a player as well. Max, thanks so much for joining me here today on The Sheet. How are you?
I'm great. Yourself? Thanks for having me.
The pleasure is all mine. So, like, I'm in. I bought the ticket. I'm on the train. I'm full in, 100% on the Montreal Canadiens. Loved the ride last year. Demidov, like, he is looking fantastic. Jacob Fowler looks like he's already taken another step in his game. The Dobson addition. I mean, everything right now, Max, is lining up, it seems, perfectly for the Montreal Canadiens to take the next step. How do you feel about them right now? You're a lot closer to them than I am.
Yeah, well, just feels great in town. I mean, we were expecting a long rebuild, but I think it went a little faster than expected. And I feel like the fans are reconnecting with the team. Like, it's been a while. We didn't have those young group of players that are so talented and spectacular, but also have a little bit of character and an attitude. If you look at the Jacky brothers, if you look at Demidov, if you look at Hudson, it's all different types of personality that are defining the new era of the Montreal Canadiens. And I just think that it's great. We have a good core. We have players that are hungry to win, and I think we also have some great leadership in Nick Suzuki, Caufield, Goulet, Mike Matheson. These guys are helping the young guys taking the right steps in the right direction.
I want to ask you about Nick Suzuki and his pursuit of learning how to speak French fluently. But you mentioned the Jacky brothers a couple of seconds ago. What went through your mind when you saw Florian Jacky throw down with Nick Delorier?
I got scared a little bit. Big challenge for him, but this is exactly what I mean, Jeff. Like, we've been missing that in Montreal. It's been a few years that teams were just showing up at the Bell Center, and it was an easy matchup. It was just, let's go pick up 2 points in Montreal, and nobody's going to get hurt. We won't need ice after the game because we won't be bruised. But this is going to change. I feel like this is the next step. We have the skills now. We need a little bit more of toughness, and we've seen it with Jacky, the brothers. We talk like we're trying to get these guys on the fourth line now because against Washington in the playoffs, like, as happy as we were last year, we noticed that we're missing something, right? After 5 games, we were getting out hit every game and basically destroyed physically. So I think the teams need that type of personality right now. And Florian Jacky fighting Delorier for me, is a kid sending a message that he wants to be part of the adventure. He wants to play with his brother, and he knows that role might help him getting a spot on the team. Max,
you had Josh Anderson fight Tom Wilson on the bench. I can't remember the last time I saw 2 players fighting on the bench.
Yeah, what a fight and what a moment. And it was just great because obviously people don't like Wilson too much here in Montreal. But I think, you know what, really impressed with Josh Anderson last year. Just he was kind of looking for his role within the team and finally found something with the great connection he has with Marty St. Louis. And I think that's the perfect role for him. He's really good on the PK. He's really physical. He accepts his role of a leader on the team, and he's showing up all the time for his teammates. And I feel like you might feel like he's the big brother out there, and we've seen it 2 games ago. Demidov get hit like a normal hit, and he just jumped the guy right away. And I feel like during these games, exhibition games, they're just trying to show that nobody is going to touch our star players this year. And if you look at the division, if you look at Boston, if you look at the Panthers, even Toronto, the teams are getting tougher. And you have no choice to have a little toughness to get out of that division.
I want to get your thoughts on Nick Suzuki and a couple of things. One, the interview he did en français last week, and as a friend of mine mentioned, not saying NHL but saying LNH means a lot to Quebecers specifically. I have a lot of time for Nick Suzuki. Great player, comes from a highly intelligent family. He grew up a huge fan of Patrice Bergeron. I remember, Max, there's a great story. He used to play with in junior hockey in the OHL with someone by the name of Brady Lyle. And Brady played with the Bruins organization, was playing in Providence, and took the number 37. And, Nick called him up and said, nobody in the Bruins organization, certainly not the NHL, but not even in the American League, should be allowed to wear Patrice Bergeron's number. He was hot about it. So he has sort of an understanding of the way that things should be. First of all, what did you make of of Nick Suzuki's first interview in French?
Well, I think it's great that guys are understanding the culture here. I don't think you need to be fluent in French, but just sometime talk a little bit just to tell the fans that you're with them and you're part of the adventure together. Because I feel like this is what was missing in the last few years, is the fans and the team wasn't connecting. And I feel like we were going off road a little bit, on the history side, because it's always been a story of the great fans of Montreal and the great achievement that the team has done in the history of the Canadiens. And now just saying a few words, like me, it makes a lot of people happy. I just feel like your captain is invested in the project, and he's not here temporarily. He's here to win. He's showing that he's here for a long time, and he wants to bring everyone aboard. He wants everyone to be part of the next era of the Montreal Canadiens. And for me, you said it well, Nick Suzuki, if I don't want to compare him to Patrice Bergeron, because Patrice is a good friend and I know how good he was of a player, but I think he's taking the direction right now to be a great leader like Patrice was. And it's just the way he behaves on the ice, in the gym, with the fans, with the organization, just what he's done last year, going to Ken Hughes and saying, hey, keep the guys, we want to make the playoffs and make sure you don't trade everybody away. And that's big leadership for me, because you don't expect that from Nick Suzuki just because he's a little bit of a quiet guy. You don't expect that fire out of him, but I think he's the perfect leader for Montreal. He's quiet, doesn't say much, but when he speaks, it's important. And you can see he's the right guy for the situation right now, because guys have a lot of respect for him, and that's everywhere in the NHL.
Let me ask you about Zach Bolduc, because I thought this was, sort of undercover one of the best moves that I saw in the offseason. Montreal gives up a big, right-hand shot defenseman in Logan Mailloux, and they bring in Zach Bolduc, 19 goals last season. One person in St. Louis. How about this? One person in St. Louis told me, towards the end we started to see some David Perron in Zach, and I really like the way David Perron plays. I'll even go one further. I even see some Max Lapierre in Zach Bolduc as well. What do you see when you? With the puck, well, listen, I wasn't going to say it, but now that you brought, listen, he's a really fine hockey player, but you were a nasty bit of business to play against, and that's what I can see Zach Bolduc turning into. He can be a combination of certainly who he is, and he's going to be a goal scorer as well, but there's a nasty side. Side to this player as well. What are your expectations for Bolduc on the Montreal Canadiens? And how about this one? What's it like being a Quebecer playing with the Montreal Canadiens?
Well, first of all, with Bolduc, I think is exactly what we needed. A guy that can score goals but be physical at the same time and bring that edge during the playoffs. I think a lot of people are seeing him as a depth player here, because we don't know him really much in the market so far, but I see him in the top 6. I think he's going to be in the top 6. I think
agree.
He deserves to be there. He's got a good shot. He needs a good center to feed him the puck if he plays on the wing. He's going to be a great power play guy, and he's going to bring that internal competition that you need in a winning team at one point, because I feel like in the last few years, as great as it was for the young players coming in, like Slafkovsky, Demidov, and Hudson, and all the guys, that I feel like the guys were going to the rink and they feel safe about their place in the lineup. They feel safe. Like, let's say Slafkovsky feels that he's going to be on the first line for the rest of his life, and nobody's going to challenge him about it. And Bourque is the guy who's going to do it. I think he can play a few on the first line during the year. I think he's going to play on the second line. I think if things are not working well on the first PP, he's going to be right up there. And he was there for the first exhibition game. So he's going to be the guy to challenge for your place. And this is, like me, Jeff, it's pretty good for the team, because then guys have to raise their game a little bit.
It's to your point earlier, this is a team where there are so many distinct personalities and players that do a lot of different things. Like, I've always talked about how, teams can be loaded with skill, but if every player does the same thing, the team's not going to achieve much. Like, I've maintained that one of the issues with Toronto, for example, while Marner was there were more players that were similar than they were different. And I look at the Montreal Canadiens, and I'm like, there's a lot of different players here. And one of the ones that we're all wondering about, and, we're saying things like, okay, it's Demidov versus the field for the Calder Trophy. Who you taking? What's your expectations of Demidov here? We've already got a glimpse of what he can do. We all know the high level of skill, but we also know that the NHL is a really hard league. What do you expect from Demidov this season?
Man, I have no idea, because he's so spectacular, and I've seen him all summer working on the ice. I don't even know if him and Hudson got off the ice once this summer. They just love the game. They just want to be the best. And I was on a show with Tony Marinaro this week, and I was talking about a comparison I'm making with Tom Brady's attitude. Like, they don't accept making mistakes. They don't accept just not improving every day. And you've seen it all over the ice, like all over Montreal. They were on the ice. They work in every tournament they could play. I even play with them because they were in my tournament for a 3-on-3 tournament. And I'm like, what are they doing there? They're just looking for ice and games, like so. But Demidov is probably the most skilled player I've seen in many years in Montreal, like since Kovalev, I would say. And I had the chance to speak with a bunch of NHL players this summer in a dinner, and they were saying that when they play against Demidov, even if he's pretty young and he's new in the league, their approach is going to be to play against a guy like Kucherov, because they see the same set of skills,
Wow.
They see the same strength in the legs, and this is going to be their approach as defensemen in the NHL. So for me, I was like, wow, that's pretty special to hear, because the kid is fairly young and haven't shown much because he didn't play many games. But if this is how they see it in the other teams, that means we got something special in Montreal. And to add to all this, I think, is the attitude first. Like, the kid has been smiling all the time. He's always happy to be here. Like we were talking about Nick Suzuki wanting to be part of the culture. Same thing with Demidov. He's just so happy to be here.
I'm glad you mentioned Kovalev a second ago. Whenever I think about Kovalev, of course you think of the elite skill that he had. He was sneaky tough as well, and at times could be a pretty dirty hockey player. But I'll always remember, I never saw anybody. You can tell me otherwise. I never saw anybody beat him at keep away. To me, he was the best. In practice, you guys will play keep away. I never saw him beat. Ever. Was he the best keep away player you ever saw, or was there's someone? Crosby was great, Datsuk was great, but to me Kovalev was the best at keep away.
Yeah, because he was so strong and he was proud about his stick handling, and he used to ask me and Guillaume Latendresse after practice all the time when we were young, starting in the league, said, "Hey, you want to play keep away?" And yeah, it was pretty tough to get the puck away from him, and then when I would do it, I would lose the puck in 5 seconds. So it wasn't much fun for us. But Covey was really strong, and like you said, he had undercover toughness. Just think that play with Darcy Tucker. Remember the elbow?
Oh, the elbow. Yeah.
That was what he would bring to the table. Just a great teammate as well. So it's the first time since that I've seen a guy that every time he has the puck, you're getting up and you can't wait to see what he's going to do. Because I don't know if you watched the first game he's played this year.
Oh, yeah.
The little plays on the power play, the backhand saucers, and the reads. we've been talking about the first power play a lot on our shows in Montreal, and I don't see how this kid is not going to be on the first PP. I think he's too skilled, and I know he's young, and you need to prove that you belong there. I don't see how he's going to be on the second power play. And that's probably going to be one of the big challenges this year with him and Dobson, because I don't think you sign a defenseman to be on the second PP when he had 70 points 2 years ago, and he's just going to say, perfect, I'll just wait and play 20 seconds of PP. I don't think it makes sense, and this is where the challenge is going to be huge for Marty St. Louis.
Yeah, nice challenge to have. Let me close with this. Max, I've always wanted to ask you this, because I watched you play junior with the Rocket, Montreal, and PEI. And the 2 years that Sidney Crosby played in Rimouski in the QMJHL, every time you would play him, you drove him crazy. Like, Max, you drove Sidney Crosby nuts. You lived in his hip pocket. Everyone knew how great Sid was then and what he was going to be, and now he's a surefire, Hall of Famer. Two things. What was it like playing in those games where you would drive Crosby crazy? And what was it like being in the same dressing room with him years later with the Penguins?
It was great times. I mean, it's so much fun you bring that up. Obviously, the first year in junior, Alain Vigneault was my coach. So I had a great coach to help me going through this. He was in the NHL right before coaching in juniors, and his vision was, this is the next superstar, and every time there's a superstar, there's the next villain. So I want you to be the next villain. I didn't take it to the other level and be that villain in the NHL that had the greatest career ever, but I'm still happy with what I've done. But it was special. I remember a night in Rimouski, we played against him, and it was a battle, and we were every shift on the ice. And I don't know if you remember, they had Nielsen, the tough guy.
Oh, yeah.
So, in Rimouski, Alain told me, you're going to follow Crosby and you're basically going to drive him back to the bench and then change. And then by the shift number 5, I was following Crosby everywhere on the ice, and Nielsen was following me behind. So we had that little train going around the ice. It was pretty funny. And that night I needed security to get off the ice. So the fans were mad about it. And yeah, it was just weird. And then one day I get traded to the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I'm like, oh man, it's going to be weird, because it's not just getting traded and have to talk to a teammate who you were weird with on the ice. It's Nick Crosby, the face of the NHL. And obviously, like me, what's coming is he's so classy. He's such a good leader.
For sure.
We just basically walk and saw each other for the first time, and he started laughing, and it just went from there. I don't even think we talk about what happened in junior. Just welcoming me on the team and being finally happy to have it on this side.
I find that amazing. Like, I'm not surprised. Like, that's Crosby. But I also know at the same time just how much he hated playing against you in Rimouski. Oh my goodness.
Juraj told me that this summer. He said, man, when I arrived in Pittsburgh, he basically said, I don't care what you do. I don't want to see that guy. I remember, I don't know if we have time, but a funny story. One time, when George arrived in Pittsburgh, during warm-ups, he went to see Francis Bouillon, who was his captain in juniors, and told Frankie, said, Lapierre, he's done tonight. Just tell him, like, I'm sorry, but Mike Terrien was the coach. He said, I have to go with him. And just seeing Francis' face, like, across the ice, I was like, there's something wrong. And the guys were actually quiet in the room. They were like, uh-oh, like, they're serious on the other side. Like, George wants to go with Max, and he's going to have to go. And I always, like, talk about it with George. It's like, if ever I would have jumped you, what was your plan? I said, to be honest, George, I think I was going to back up and just sprint as fast as I could and jump in the air. Fall back, because that was the only plan, because you know how tough George is. It would have just grabbed me and have a party. So, yeah.
These are the best stories. Max, you're fantastic. Good luck once again this season with Poche Bleue. We'll check back regular. You got a fun team to watch and cover. We're looking forward to seeing what the Habs do this year. Thanks so much, mon chum. Much appreciated. Max Lapierre. Oh man, how good are those stories about George Laraque? Hey, that's Frankie, so tell Max. Oh, jeez, that's awesome, eh?
My plan was to back up, skate at you, jump on you, and hope you fell. I got nothing else I can do right now. This is the best.
Oh man, Max, and the thing about Max is too, like, and we talked a lot about, this year's edition of the Habs, and talk about his junior career, where like honestly, like, it was one of those things where you did not miss Rocket and Oceanic games just to see like, you never wanted to miss a Rimouski game because you wanted to see Sidney Crosby, but whenever like Max Lapierre and Sidney Crosby were on the ice together, like, honestly, it's so rare to see someone come as close as Max did just to skating in Sidney Crosby's pocket all night long. And I'll tell you what, I'll give you one more. I should have mentioned this to him. Like, that's a testament to Max Lapierre to be able to, and he did, like, to keep up with Sidney Crosby, where you're at the point where you can drive him absolutely bonkers. And I know that, Max downplays his skill, et cetera, but for what he did, he was an incredibly skilled hockey player. Was he going to score 50 goals every year? No. But as far as like filling a valuable role for whichever team that he played on, Montreal, Vancouver, wherever he went, that guy was awesome. And that even goes back to junior when he played with the Rocket. Anyhow, great stories from Max Lapierre, and it's a fun team to cover.
Yeah, that was really good. And funny, too, talking about going to the 3-on-3, and they're there with them. What
are you doing? What are you doing here, children? So your bedtime?
It is funny, though. You see how much those guys are on the ice, and it like gets to a point where people make jokes about it, where it's constantly videos and highlights of them coming out in the summer. But then you realize, like, do you know how much they were on the ice for that content to be coming out in like mass,
all summer,
like it was.
But I get that sense, and we're getting that sense about Demidov. And anyone that I've ever spoken to, either at his agency, he's represented by Cortex, or anybody that knows him or the Hudson family, like that's the kids.
Yeah,
like they live on the ice.
Yeah,
nonstop.
I got 3. What do we call them? Things we dread from Shayna. If you want to hear them, we can.
Yeah, what do you got?
They're three very different ones.
Did she send some other ones over too?
No, she told me to prepare them, and just in case. So I do have some, and I want to know your thoughts.
Okay.
So the one is, and this is, yes, I'm somebody who makes jokes about the Leafs, yada yada yada, but I do cover them for the post game. Yeah. So the one I'm dreading is when I have to inevitably have the conversation about.
The Marner hat trick?
Mess up not having Mitch Marner, because they're going to have 4 games, 5 games where they're going to get 1 or 2 goals, and then we're going to have that conversation about the point production.
Okay, so will you promise right here, right now, Thursday, September 25th, that when the Maple Leafs go on a 5-game losing streak and only score 6 goals in the 5 games or 4 goals in the 5 games, you will not bring up Mitch Marner? Will you promise us this right now?
No,
or are you very much of the low-hanging fruit is still nutritious variety?
I learned from somebody very smart.
Just take it?
Yeah, just take it. You got to talk about it.
All right.
Yep.
Is this going to be like when in doubt? I remember when I first started. So I first started in media in 1994 at a radio station in Toronto called The Fan. It was owned by Telemedia then. And the station essentially revolved around 2 questions. Like, honestly, it was a 2-question station for that sports format. 1, is Wendell Clark a bum? And 2, is Cito Gaston a bum? Like, that was it. Like, that was 24/7 programming for The Fan. Then I think it was 14:30, then it changed to 5:90, or it might have been already 5:90. But there was 2 questions. Is Wendell Clark a bum? Is Cito Gaston a bum?
Okay, so
that was it.
In the chat, off the top of the show, someone came in and said, sorry, whoever it was, I forgot. They said, who's the bigger choke artist, the Maple Leafs or the Blue Jays?
There it is.
So it's still going on.
Dude, I started as my first time on the air media anywhere, 1994. Good Lord. And the same conversation. Well, I mean, Jays were having like an epic 1987 choke job here. Oh, I lived through it the first time, and that's when I was a massive Jays fan and just lived through it and died every single game. I'm watching it all again.
Yeah.
But that was The Fan in 94. And then
so we're still doing
it was the rise of Norm Rumack with I wouldn't trade Wendell Clark for Sergei Fedorov, and everyone go crazy on the phones, and it was such, honestly, the fan was a real dynamic station. It was really cool. It was really cool place to be. But yeah, 2 questions. Take the low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Talk about Marner when they go on a 6-game losing streak. You can't find the back of the net, and you swear the puck has corners.
It will happen, and I will have to talk about it. And I know that the conversation's coming, so I'm dreading
It's
that.
good.
The other one is not Leafs. This one is one that we're going to have the conversation, and I just hate that it's a thing in general.
Okay.
And it's going to be load management, and it's going to come up a lot this season because condensed
schedule, 100%.
And
it's a great one.
Compounded with more games next year. Next year.
Yeah, next year. 84 next year.
We're going to have to do it. And I hate the idea of it. I hate the conversation about it. I was in the camp that they should have shortened the season, if anything, and they added games.
I've said this one a million times, and I'll say it again right now. The moment the NHL players signed off on salary linkage, the idea of ever shrinking the schedule vanished.
Yeah.
Because the owners just want more games, more revenue, and the players are like, my paycheck is tied to game revenue. This is still a butts in the seats league. Mm-hmm. There's no NFL style contract. The minute they signed off on salary linkage, the idea of what we're talking about here, like going down to a number that's probably in the 70s, that went out the window.
Yeah.
Never. I'm with you, but I've always said the same thing: get your game out of June. If I could change one thing in the NHL, get the game out of June, and then do all your administrative stuff for your drafts and free agency, do it properly and prepare awards. But no, it's never gonna. But we'll have the conversation, but it's never gonna happen.
Yeah,
it's never gonna happen.
I just hate the idea of load management. I get it, guys get banged up, get injured. You want them 100% for playoffs, but like missing regular season games, knowing fans are paying good money too. On top of that, just the whole thing.
Listen, man, a lot of it's going to revolve around the guy that plays on your favorite team, and that's Austin Matthews.
Oh, I know.
And if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs, how do you not look at like strategically resting him?
For sure.
And like we're not 100% on which body part from year to year we're supposed to be focusing on. We just know that like there is, and it's probably just got to be something that he manages his entire career. Mm-hmm. And I think I wonder if he's going to be, maybe not to the extent of Kawhi Leonard, but he's going to be for the NHL the poster child for load management, game management, however you want to call it. Sucks for fans that buy tickets.
Yeah,
I get it.
All right, ready? Last one. This is a very different vibe.
Okay.
This one is not one I'm dreading.
Okay.
This is one
I'm dreading?
I don't know if you're dreading it.
All right.
A lot of people will be dreading the conversation that will come from it. Connor McDavid not signing a contract through the season. I'm not dreading it because I'm going to love talking about it every single time I go on a microphone for a post-game or a pre-game or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'm going to love talking about it. I don't know if Toronto is even a name, a city he's thought about coming to.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you something. You know who's going to love every second of it? Nick Alberga Esquire.
But I'm going to love the conversation. I love the fact that there's a star player who, like, take Toronto out of this. I love that there's the fact that there's a star player, never mind Kirill Kaprizov, who's also going to be in a similar situation. They could move. It's so good for the NHL and talking about these things and some drama of that. Like, you don't want to go full NBA. Never go full NBA. That's the one I will hang on forever.
Why not?
Oh no! It's
why
not?
I'm waiting for guys to go as pairs. Like we're talking about the Hughes brothers uniting here, which is a total NBA thing. It has total NBA undertones to it. We saw Korea and Solani do it a million years ago with the Avalanche, but like we don't really see pairs going. I'm waiting for that. But I'm all in on that conversation too.
Like this year, the conversation going into the summer, like what were we talking about? Like, where's Nikolai Ehlers gonna go?
Yep. And who's going to give him that extra year?
Right.
Yes, that he wants.
And like outside of hockey fans, respectfully, who the fuck cares? Connor McDavid
is bigger just a little bit than Nikolai Ehlers.
Like there's going to be that's a
well, you know what it does
outside of hockey reach.
But you know what's going to happen? Like we're all going to look at the New York Rangers and go, okay, so they still haven't re-signed Artemi Panarin. What are they keeping their cap space for?
oh no, they couldn't possibly be looking at another Russian.
Another Russian winger? What?
Wait, who said that?
What? Who? What? Tampering? What?
Yes. Soft.
T word. That is one of the great terms of all time.
Yeah. Soft tampering.
Some soft tampering, some light treason, some soft tampering, some
Yeah.
soft tampering. Those are good. Those are some good ones. I like it. Thanks to Shayna for stopping by to provide some of those. Let's wrap up the program here. From the Better Collective headquarters in Canada.
There's people dreading you saying that.
That's what I was told to say by Nick Caroli. Like, where are we? Well, we're at the office. What office? Better Collective headquarters, Canada.
We're going to get off. Caroli's going to be in the other room on the phone. His head between his legs.
Shit, I shouldn't have said that. Those two donkeys. Now they won't quit pushing that damn button. The Better Collective headquarters, Canada. The Sheet, folks, is powered by FanDuel, home of the same game parlay. Make every moment more on FanDuel. FanDuel, proud to connect fans to the major sports moments that matter to them. Young Zach. Was that your first photo shoot today?
Yeah. I mean, other than minor hockey and and school, yep.
Okay, want to know a really embarrassing photo shoot from minor hockey?
Yeah.
I would have been playing for the York Toros then. And so all the players, they do like the, skate to the photographer, stop, so you get the spray and like that's like the shot. And what they wanted, I was a goaltender. What they wanted for us is they wanted to make like an action play. So you'd be in your crease and someone beside the photographer would just sort of lob a puck to our glove and they'd get that picture. I missed the puck. And they kept that one. So it's just going over my glove. It's awesome.
That's good.
It's a great picture. Loved it. Like they had a bunch of others they could have used. And my goalie coach, Eric, was like, no, we're going with that one.
Yeah.
We're going with the one you missed.
But it's better because that's a story. Like I don't remember 100%. Any of the pictures I have.
Yeah, but there's this one. Donkey Maverick can't catch a lob. Yeah. Way to go.
Yeah. Actually, I do have one picture that everybody in my family has, and it's everywhere, and it's way too big than it should be.
What is it?
They did, I don't know what it's called, Timbits. Like now it was called Opti Hockey back then.
Yeah.
They used my picture as the
template
promo picture.
Oh, really?
That they plastered across arenas across Aurora. And so I have all the laminated pictures and stuff. My grandparents have them. My aunts.
How do I not know this?
Yeah,
do you
have that.
Do you have like a screen cap of that? Like, do you have like a picture of it?
I could try to find it. Yeah, my parents for sure have it.
Let's do it tomorrow. Let's do it on the show tomorrow with Wish.
Okay.
You were on the boards?
No, like just in the arenas and stuff, like everywhere. When for the whole season, I guess they had them because after you get your pictures taken, you can buy them.
Yeah.
So you go to the website or call.
Yeah.
And that's where my picture is with the company's name and number, and like a couple other kids are on there, but mine's the big picture of it. And unfortunately for me, given where my career turned out covering the Leafs, the team that we played on, they were all named after NHL teams. Do you know what team I was on that
Leafs.
First year? No.
Oh, Habs.
Yeah, the Canadiens.
You were Habs, eh?
Yeah.
But so this is like a generation gap question I'm going to ask you. I want to get to FanDuel here in a second. Apologies, FanDuel. We're going to get you.
Yeah.
We're going to get there. We're going to get there. We're taking a long
we have
road.
to talk about minor hockey photos first.
Okay, minor hockey. It's just everyone's riveted on the YouTube feed right now. The question is, if you're an older Leafs fan, you believe the main rival is Montreal. Like that's what I grew up with.
Yeah.
I grew up with like Leafs and Habs would always stomp the Maple Leafs. But if you're a younger Maple Leafs fan, is your number one rival still Montreal or is it Ottawa/Boston?
Boston.
It is, eh?
Yeah,
That's what
Boston.
That's what I thought.
And it's like, it's hard for me to say rival, though. They own us. Like, I'm pretty openly admitted that. Like, the Bruins own us. It's not like a back and forth.
Mm-hmm. But Toronto's the same way with way with Ottawa.
Yeah, true.
Ottawa would win like President's Trophy every year and out and 4 straight against Toronto.
Yeah.
And here's Nieuwendyk lobbing knuckleballs through Patrick Lalline.
Yeah, that's
Anyhow,
something.
okay, what do we got for FanDuel? Now we're going down different. Oh, there's Nick Caroli, by the way. He's looking at his watch and he's shaking the finger at it. Sorry, boss.
Yeah, just quickly, I just wanted to highlight what FanDuel's got up. It's a new tab up here today.
Oh, yeah? What do you got?
So the one that I pulled for just on the show out of simplicity is contract year for Connor McDavid. Over or under 116.5 points. The over 116.5 is favored at -142.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Jeff, the other ones that they've got up here, it's really cool. So you can dig into how many goals he'll have this year. Then you can go on to some different areas like Anze Kopitar last year. What are the odds for him to win the Selke? You can get into some specific Anze Kopitar.
Hang on. Pause on that. That's really good of FanDuel. That's really, because that one is going to be like all eyes are going to be on Kopitar. It's the farewell tour.
Yeah.
Regardless of what Barkov or Hischier or Sorelli, like other candidates for everyone's going to have their eyes on Anze Kopitar. Not that it should matter, but there's going to be that sort of emotional tug, send him out with that would be third Selke trophy.
Yeah.
He's going to have a good year. He's Anze Kopitar. That's a really smart one.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
If he doesn't win the Selke, what else would he
Lady
plug?
Bing.
Which is also under his tab. Demidov rookie season. It's points leaders for the rookies. Kaprizov. Yeah. This one is kind of funny because it's just listed as Kaprizov. Will he stay or will he go? But the bets underneath, Jeff, is just players to record 100-plus points. He's one of the favorites. So there's just other players listed. But it's, will he stay or will he go? And then will he get 100 points? What are you implying?
Yeah. What do you think of Kaprizov, by the way, just as an aside?
Well, I mean, I know you kind of just threw out there the whole Rangers Panarin contract thing. I think that's real.
No one's gonna not think about it.
Yeah.
And as Panarin continues to play under what could be his last contract with the New York Rangers, and the obvious replacement sitting there in Minnesota saying no to the most lucrative contract ever offered a player in the history of the NHL. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Look, just speaking out of my ass here, I don't think there's a reason. I don't think he's turning down that contract in Minnesota because he just wants more money from them and he's playing hardball.
I don't know. I'd be curious to see if they offered it, because don't forget, Craig Leopold, the owner, just a couple of years ago when asked about it, said no one other than us can offer him the max money, max term.
Yeah.
So the way you can tell is if you offer 20%.
Okay, I guess.
And if he says no to 20%, well, guess what?
Yes, then we're having a different conversation.
Guess what?
Yeah.
That's pretty much, I'm out of here.
That's fair. Yeah. I when I saw the report, whether true or to what degree, this was, what I'm trying to say is what the response was from him. Do they flat out say, nah, not happening, or they say, we'll talk about it kind of thing? But when I saw that, I was like, oof, if you're a Minnesota fan, you got to be thinking because you're not hearing out of Edmonton that McDavid is turning down such and such number.
No, because, but here's the difference. As Jeff Jackson told us in Muskoka, that's not the Oilers going to Connor and saying, this is our offer.
Right.
This is Connor going to them and saying, this is what I need, or this is what I want.
That's fair.
So the dynamic is different.
That is fair, yeah. There's less of a negotiation.
There's no negotiation. Would you like to be in that spot in your life?
Oh, what do you want? Done. Yours.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. Here's the pen, here's the paper. You put the number.
We're just going to slide this. Here's a piece of paper and a pen. We're just going to put this over here for you, Connor. Just, you know what? Just save us some dignity and put a number down there.
Yeah.
And we'll go walk it down the hall.
Yeah.
Must be nice. Must be nice. All right, we have to leave. Better Collective HQ Canada. Hands off for you. All right. Listen, thanks so much for joining us today, whether you're watching live on YouTube, you're part of the chat, you're listening on your favorite podcast platform. We appreciate it. Leave us the likes. Please subscribe. Does us a lot of good. Both of the podcast, the YouTube channel as well, in about us live. Thanks for joining us. We're back tomorrow with MVSW and Greg Wyshynski, Tip Your Zamboni driver, etc., etc., etc. We're back tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern.